Pachipamwe. So someone comes up to you, speaks to you in chiShona, and you understand them, but you cannot for the life of you respond. What do you do? Today we will solve that problem. We will learn how to construct simple Shona sentences. Most people will tell you that Shona follows a subject, verb, object typology, meaning that there's always an actor, somebody who's doing something. There's always the verb that they are doing, the doing word. And then there is the stuff that gets done to. That's usually the object. So we are saying that Shona mostly follows a subject, verb, object typology. Sometimes for a sentence, a verb by itself is enough. Sometimes a subject plus the verb is enough. Sometimes subject and adjective, or subject plus adjunct, anything that might not necessarily be in the verb class or object class that can be there would be enough. And then there's a special one, which I like to call plus verb plus, which we will explain in a bit more detail later on in order to make a full sentence. In order to understand this better, we need to be able to construct some words. We're going to be focusing on constructing nouns and constructing verbs. In order to construct nouns, all of our nouns follow this pattern. They start off with a prefix and they have a noun stem. The noun stem will tell you what the noun is about, and the prefix can change. So the prefix is dependent on the noun class. chiShona has got 21 noun classes. So that means that there are 21 possible prefixes. These possible prefixes does not mean that for every noun stem there can be 21. No. That's not the case. It just means that sometimes some nouns can have 3 or 4 possible prefixes. I'm going to give an example. If I have the word mu ko mana, which means boy, the first 2 letters are the prefix mu. Mu is our prefix, and komana is our noun stem. Mu is a singular person prefix, so it tells you one boy child. In order to say a little boy, the prefix would change, and I would have ka ko mana. So my prefix has now changed to ka, and that shows ka komana. If I wanted to say a giant boy, a big boy, my prefix would change to z. And the stem would also change to show agreement that this is a big boy, and it would become z go mana. So that is how we form our nouns in Shona. We basically have a noun prefix and a noun stem. So for instance, if I was to use a different example altogether, for instance, bread. Bread is chingwa. The prefix here is chi. So chingwa. On the other hand, if I wanted to have a plural of bread, that is zingwa. Here, my prefix is z. So that is how we form nouns. All nouns have got a prefix. The prefix is determined by the noun class, and they have a noun stem. Now we come to how verbs are formed. Verbs also have a prefix and a verb stem and a verb final. For example, the verb kuyenda, to go. kuyenda, to go. The prefix in kuyenda is ku. The verb stem in kuyenda, is end. And the verb final, for instance here, it is a, kuyenda. That means to go. The prefix will always tell you something. In this instance, the prefix tells us that our verb is in the infinitive. So ku means to. And enda means go. Therefore, kuyenda is to go. We're now looking at a different verb. Let's say to sit. Because I have to here, I already know that my prefix is ku. Sit, my verb stem is gar. And my verb ending is a, gara, ku gara. So let's color code that as well. Ku, to. My verb stem for sit is gar. My verb final is a. Ku gara. So that is to sit. The important part that always has to be remembered with all of our verbs is the verb stem. That part is usually not changeable. As a result, we want to make sure that we always understand what the verb stem is. So here our verb stem is end. And usually when you're writing the verb stem, you actually see it written as dash, END dash, or hyphen, END hyphen. Then you know, okay, that's a verb stem. It's missing a beginning and it's missing an ending. Also, if you take a look at kugara, the verb stem is gar, and that would be written G-A-R. So infinitive, I would make it kugara. If I was to take another verb altogether, let's try to eat. Again, in the infinitive, to eat becomes ku jga. My verb prefix, ku. My verb stem, jga. And my verb final, a, ku jga. In order to know if a verb is in the infinitive form, that is in its to form, all you need to check is if it starts with ku and if the verb final is a. So if you've got a verb that starts with ku and it's got a verb final r, then you know that this particular verb is in the infinitive form because it starts with u and it ends in the verb final a. When we are conjugating our verbs and changing them around, so depending if somebody is doing something, if I am the one who is eating or who has eaten or somebody else is doing it, then the verb prefix will change and the verb ending may also change. For example, if I am to use the verb kujka and I take the stem jga and I say he ate, for instance, it would end up being a jga. My verb prefix changed to a and my verb final stayed the same as a, ajga, which means he or she ate. Other times when our ending changes is when we're making negatives, but that's for another lesson. Usually then the a would change to an e when we've got negation. The verb final can change to an e or an e, for instance. And here our verb prefixes, they can either be ha, or it can change to any one of our noun prefixes that we saw. Remember how we had all of these noun prefixes? Those can also be used as part of our verbs, which we will see in a little bit. So back to our sentence construction. If we see a sentence that says subject, verb, object, I eat sadza, is very much in the subject, verb, object order. I is a subject, eat is my verb, and sadza is my object. So if I was to write that in Shona, it would become Ndi no jka sadza. Let's break that down a little bit. The subject here is Ndi, that's I. My verb stem is jka, together with its final. So my verb is jka, and my object is sadza. So what is this little no in the middle of nowhere? What does this stand for? This little no is our tense marker. No tells you that it is a present tense. So, I, present tense, eat sadza. I eat sadza. Let's try the next one. He learns Chinese. So, our subject for he is a. Because it's present tense, we want our present tense marker no. Learn is ziza. And Chinese is chiShona. Let's mark that out. Our subject is a. Our verb is ziza. Our object is chiShona. And then, of course, we have our tense marker, no. Let's try another example. Tinashe goes to school. Tinashe goes to school. In Shona, that would become Tinashe goes anoyenda to school. Kuchikoro. So let's mark that out. Our subject Tinashe remains the same, Tinashe. Our verb goes, which matches enda with the verb final a. We've got our tense marker, no. And we've got our subject marker a. Tinashe anoyenda. And our object is kuchikoro. Kuchikoro meaning to school. Shona does a bit of duplication here. If you see, we've got Tinashe and we've also got a. It shows that even though we have our subject written here, we will still show our subject agreement in our verb so that people know exactly who is doing what. So Tinashe anoyenda. Therefore, we have the subject concord. That is a subject prefix in front of our verb. So every single time you see this, you have to understand that no matter what, I could leave out Tinashe, but my sentence would still have to have anoyenda kuchikoro. And if everybody knows the context that we were talking about Tinashe, the a would let people know, oh, we actually are talking about Tinashe. Let's go on to the next one. The next sentence structure that we have is when we just have the verb. And this is pretty simple. Usually it's when we have imperatives. That means we're giving a command of some sort and we're just going to be letting it like that. So if I was to tell a person to run, the Shona word is manya. And that translates into run. If I wanted to make that polite, so manya is singular, and it's usually, I'm saying maybe to my nephew or to someone younger than me, run. That's what I would say. But if I wanted to tell my mom to run or a group of people to run, I would say manyai. So I would add in the plural polite ending I to make it manyai. But again, it's just one verb. Nothing else is going in there. If I wanted to say sit down, in singular form, that would be gara pasi, sit down. Here, my verb is gara. Pasi is just a location marker, which tells you I am telling you to sit somewhere. So, gara pasi, sit down. Where are you sitting? You are sitting down. And if I wanted to make that a bit more polite, I would say garai pasi. What changes here is my verb. My verb gets a polite ending E. Garai, but where we're sitting remains the same, down. Garai pasi. The other sentence structure we have is a subject-verb sentence structure. So if I was to say I sing in Shona is ndi no imba. Let's mark that out. Ndi is my subject, I. Sing, my verb, is imba with its verb ending a, and no is my present tense marker. Ndi no yimba, meaning I sing in the present. If I was singing in the past, my tense marker would change, as well as sometimes even my prefix and maybe even my verb. But for now, we know that it's present, so my tense marker is no. If I wanted to say she talks, again, it's in the present, so we know we've got a no in there, which shows present. So she is a, present tense marker, no. Talks is taura, ano taura. Let's mark that out. She is a. My verb, talks, is taura with the verb ending a. And my present tense marker, no, ano taura. Sometimes we want to add a bit more information, like an adverb. So if I wanted to say Taku walks slowly, then that would translate to Taku anofamba zvishoma. Let's mark that out. Taku is our subject, as well as the beginning prefix a. Taku a is our subject. Our verb is walks, which translates to famba. Our present tense marker, as usual, no. And then here we have our adverb, zvishoma, which means slowly at the end. Taku anofamba zvishoma. The next set is subject and adjective sentences. Here we will translate the other way around, from Shona to English. Tendai munaku means Tendai is beautiful. So here you'll be saying where's the is in the sentence. Let's just mark it out. So our subject is Tendai and our adjective is beautiful. So munaku. The word munaku already kind of implies is inside because of the prefix it has. So we don't actually need to mark out the word is. So Tendai beautiful, basically. Tendai munaku. Tendai is beautiful. The same is for Simba murefu. We also will not be really marking out an is. It would translate to Simba is tall. So if we mark that out, Simba is our subject and our adjective, murefu, tall. Simba tall, meaning Simba is tall. The last one is the plus verb plus structure. Now this one is a bit complicated, but we're not going to learn all of the complexities of it. Remember that Shona is an agglutinative language, meaning that our verbs and our nouns grow in size when we add little bits to the front or to the back in order to make more meaning. So for instance, when we have our verb, we have our verb stem, which we have seen already. And we have our verb final, which we have also seen already. But to our verb stem and to our verb final, we can add a few things. We've already seen the tense marker that we've added, no, And we've also seen the subject concord, for instance, when we added ndi or a. So ano enda, he or she goes. Ndi no enda, I go. So ndi no enda has got the subject concord, ndi. It's got the tense marker, no. And then it's got the verb stem end and the verb final, a. We are not going to be learning all of these today. What I will focus on the other hand, is a simplified form of the verb sentence. Here we'll focus on a few columns in the verb table. What tends to happen when we are using this sentence construction is that we change our sentence order from subject, verb, object to subject, object, verb. That means verb and object swap around. If we take a look at our table at the top, here our object can be before the verb. But this is only when we use this plus verb plus structure using this verb table. Do not worry about learning this as yet. We will do it in a future lesson. So let's use the simplified form for now. Here we're only going to really focus on the subject concord. We're going to focus on our tense. We're going to focus on our verb stem and our verb final. If I wanted to say I go, it would come up to ndi no enda. Let's mark that out. My subject is ndi. My present tense marker is no. My verb stem and ending is enda. Ndi no enda. If somebody else is doing the going, so I want to say she goes, that would translate to a no enda. If we mark that out, a for our subject, my present tense marker no, and my verb stem and final enda. If I want to say they sit or they live somewhere, I would have va no gara. If we mark that out, va for they, no for my present tense marker, gara for sit or live. So to sit or to live is the same verb, which is gara. So here is they live or they sit. Anoenda, he or she goes. Here I go. Let's try a few more examples. Mother cooks sadza. That would translate to amai vano bika sadza. Let's mark that out. Mother is my subject. My verb cooks, which becomes bika. Va is also part of my subject. That's my subject prefix from amai. My present tense marker, no. And my object, sadza. I'll give one negative example, but this will be covered very well in the negation classes. So this one is they do not laugh. That translates to ha va se ki. Let's mark that out. They is my subject, which is shown by my subject's prefix va. Laugh is my verb, which is shown by my subject stem sek. And the negation, do not, is shown by my prefix ha as well as my new ending e. So ha va se ki, they do not laugh. Let's do a few examples just so that we understand if we've gotten most of this, the simple sentences. So, you like books. Let's first figure out which parts of the sentence we've got. We've got a subject, somebody who's doing the liking, you. We've got our verb, like, and we've also got our object, books. You like books. So if we are to translate that, it becomes you, iwe, like. Because the present tense, we have to put in no, uno, farira, mabhuku. Let's mark that out. Iwe is you, as well as my subject prefix, u, my present tense marker, because this is happening in the present, no, my verb, like, farira, and then my object, mabhuku, books. The ma shows that it's plural of books. So books. Mabhuku, books. Let's try add a bit more to that sentence. Iwe unofarira mabhuku. You like big books. So how would we add in big? Iwe unofarira mabhuku makuru. The word big to describe books happens after the word books in Shona. So here let's mark it out. Iwe u, present tense marker, no, verb, farira, books, mabhuku, and then my adjective, makuru, big. So you like big books. Iwe unofarira mabhuku makuru. What tends to happen in Shona though is that we will then tend to drop iwe sometimes. It just depends on what we're talking about, especially if everybody knows the context that we're in. So all of our use sometimes might just not be used. So here's an example. If it's red books that you like, then the sentence becomes uno farira mabhuku matsvuku, books which are red. So if we mark this out again, u for you, my present tense marker, no, my verb, farira, my object, mabhuku, and my adjective, matsvuku. Unofarira mabhuku matsvuku. What if I like big red books? That would translate to unofarira mabhuku makuru matsvuku. They are stacked in the very same way that we say big red. I would also say big red. U no farira mabhuku makuru matsvuku. If I want to ask a question though, I can ask a question by saying, do you like books? Shona has got a special way that I can ask a question, especially yes or no questions, by using a question particle called here. Here is a question particle. So you put that at the end of your sentence. So here I would basically have the sentence that says, I like books. Remember, I like books, or you like books. Iwe unofarira mabhuku. And then I would change it to a question by adding here. So it becomes iwe, which is optional. Unofarira mabhuku here. So let's mark that out. We've got our question particle here. So we know we are asking a question. It comes with its question mark. And then the rest of the sentence is exactly as it was before. So iwe, u, our present tense marker, no, our verb, farira, and our object, mabhuku. Iwe unofarira mabhuku here. Do you like books? Let's do one more page of examples. So this one says, I sing. Ndi, When is it happening? Present time? No. And what am I doing? Singing. Imba. Ndinoimba. The verb for to sing in its infinitive is kuyimba. So our verb stem is imb. Ndinoimba. So let's mark that out. I, ndi, sing. Imba. And our no is our present tense marker. Let's try out the next one. I sing every day. Ndinoimba mazuva ose. So here the first part remains the same. Ndinoimba, I sing. Then we added mazuva ose. Mazuva is days, ose is all. So days all meaning every day. Let's mark those out. And this basically describing when I sing. So I sing every day. I sing mazuva ose. How about the next one? I sing every day at home. That becomes ndinoimba mazuva ose kumba. I sing every day at home. So we've got the very first same part that is exactly the same. Our subject, ndi, our present tense marker, no, our verb, imba, mazuva ose, every day, at home, kumba. So here the ku indicates where it's happening and mba is home. So kumba is our noun with its prefix ku and the noun stem mba. So kumba. I sing every day at home. So the next one is I sing every day at home with friends. That translates to ndinoimba mazuva ose kumba, which we've already seen. Neshamwari dzangu. So here, ndinoimba, my subject, my present tense marker, my verb. Mazuva ose, describing when I do it. Kumba, where I do it. And how, with my friends. So here we've got a conjunction with, which is equal to ne. Friends is shamwari. And zangu just means my. We don't really have with my friends up here, but it's quite normal that they would be your friends. So zangu means my. So it would probably be I sing every day at home with my friends, and that would be zangu. So with friends, mine. Zangu means my friends. It describes what type of friends you have. So that would become my friends. Let's mark that with purple. So I sing every day at home with my friends. So in general, the sentence structure in Shona mirrors quite a bit the English sentence structure. The only major issues is when we are using our verbs, imba. There's a lot that goes on with the verb because it has got the subject attached to it and it's also got the tense marker attached to it. As a result, the verbs can grow quite a bit, as we saw earlier on from our table. Let's do the second from last one, which is I sing very well. This one is slightly irregular. It could be, for instance, ndinoimba zvakanakisa, which basically means I sing what is beautiful. Or it could be ndinogona kuimba, which would translate to I can very well sing. So depending on how you want and what the context is, ndinoimba zvakanakisa or ndinogona kuimba, both of them are perfectly fine. And then if we are asking a question, do you sing? Asking somebody else if they sing. I'm not asking myself, I'm asking somebody else. I would say u for you, no, my present tense marker, gona, are able to, sing, kuimba, here. Unogona kuimba here. Or it can be uno imba here. Do you sing? So here again, u is marking our subject. That is the person we are asking if they're able to sing. We've got our present tense marker, no. And then here, our verb is gona, which is can. Here our verb is imba, which is sing. Unogona kuimba means can you sing? Here is our question word. So can you sing? Kuimba. Or unoimba here. Do you sing? Okay, and that concludes this part of the sentence structure making. I'm hoping that after this lesson, you'll be able to make simple sentences in chiShona. Definitely please log on to our website, speakshona.com. There you will find vocabulary lists as well as this lesson's PDF that you can download to learn. And you will also find PDF transcripts from previous lessons. Till next time, tonana. Bye bye.